Just how exactly did Mike Tyson blow over $400 million? Number 11. Cars. Mike Tyson's decline into bankruptcy began when he got out of jail in 1991 after being inside for 3 years. His check writing became as legendary as his knockouts, and by the middle of the 90s, he had spent a whopping $4.5 million on cars and motorbikes. Throughout his career, the boxer had a love of fast machines, and he thought to have bought more than 100 vehicles over the years. He certainly had a thing for Bentleys. One day, Mike and his entourage visited a top-end dealership in Las Vegas and saw a Bentley Azure. With a price tag of $320,000, it was one of the priciest cars in the world at the time. Not happy with just buying one, he ordered 4 more. He handed over $1.5 million in an afternoon. Even though he was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a car, Iron Mike was treating them like he would his underwear. With so many cars, it was often hard for Tyson to keep track of them. He'd often lend his friends vehicles from the fleet and forget who had them. His entourage would later go on a treasure hunt to recover the missing automobiles. Hey, do us a favor and hit that like button because it really helps us out. Number 10. Clothes. For Iron Mike, looking good has always been important. It may stem from his impoverished upbringing in the Bronx when his mother could barely scrape a living. Once he found fame and fortune, he had to keep up appearances, even when he was not boxing. During the 90s, he would regularly spend $100,000 on clothing and jewelry every month. He'd think nothing of spending $1,500 on a shirt. In his court documents during his divorce case, Iron Mike spent $400K a month to maintain his lifestyle. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you don't want to miss our latest upcoming releases. Okay, back to Iron Mike. Even when he was about to declare bankruptcy, his spending habits did not change. A few months before the court filing, Tyson walked out of a Beverly Hills jewelry store with a gold and diamond necklace. It was worth more than $170,000. And the thing is, he did it on credit. The store owner said it was typical to let stars like Mike take goods as they were good for it. Number 9. Miscellaneous expenses. You know that just being Mike Tyson is a costly business. A multi-millionaire pro boxer has to look and act like a playboy, even if he has a hemorrhaging cash problem. As we've seen, Mike always liked to be a snappy dresser with plenty of bling to go with it. Just day-to-day living took its toll on his pocketbook. Like we said earlier, Mike was blowing around $400,000 a month. Here are some examples for his miscellaneous expenses from 1995 to 1997. He spent $9 million in legal fees, $230,000 on pagers and cell phones alone, and $410,000 on a birthday party. Essentially, if Mike liked something, he'd buy it. The same goes for people he met. If he liked them, he'd give them a little cash to go on their way. If you do the math, he was spending about $10 a minute every minute of each day and night, and nothing much to show for it in return. Number 8. Homes. And then there are, of course, the homes and estates he bought around the country to live in whenever it took his fancy. He had homes in Las Vegas, Ohio, and Maryland. They were all decked out with as much bling as possible. This, of course, meant gold fittings in the bathrooms. At one time, he purchased a 21-bedroom, 24-bathroom mansion in Connecticut that came complete with its own nightclub and casino. And gold fittings throughout the house, of course. Obviously, the maintenance on these estates wasn't a cheap deal either. The bill for just the gardening and mowing the lawns was over $300,000. Number 7. Entourage. Looking after Iron Mike required an entourage of people dedicated to making sure their boss didn't need anything. At one point, Tyson had a payroll that had almost 200 people. All of the cooks, bodyguards, and chauffeurs required to be paid a salary, along with their health and liability insurance. In 1996, he hired a guy named Steve Fitch, who also goes by Crocodile, to join him at news conferences dressed in combat uniform. His only job was to shout out guerrilla warfare during the events, for which he was paid the pricely sum of $300,000 a year. Keeping in touch with each other and their boss meant pagers and cell phones and the bills that go with them. In one 2-year period during his spending spree, the phone and pager bills amounted to a staggering $230,000. Number 6. Extravagances. Everyone loves a party, and Mike Tyson was not an exception. Mike wanted to be flashy, and his parties were definitely Jay Gatsby-esque. For his 30th birthday in 1996, Mike spent more than $400,000 on the party. We only know he spent this amount from his bankruptcy filings, and unfortunately, they don't give any details on what exactly the $400K was spent on for the party. And then there's the bathtub. Yes, it's true, a bathtub is on the list of Mike Tyson's craziest things he's ever bought. Back during the time he was married to actress Robin Givens, he wanted to give her an amazing birthday gift. And of course, anything that's normal had to be better in gold, right? So he bought her a gold bathtub that cost $2.2 million. It may not have been the best bath in the world, but it was undoubtedly one of the most expensive ones at the time. Number 5. Legal troubles. Oh, and that marriage to Robin Givens cost him a ton of money. Unfortunately for Mike, the gold bathtub was not enough for Robin. When the couple broke up, she received $10 million as a settlement. Tyson's second wife, Monica, didn't fare quite so well in her divorce proceedings. Well, it wasn't as much, but $9 million isn't too shabby either. His divorce settlements weren't the last time Mike Tyson needed to get lawyered up. Unfortunately, even the best can't win against the tax man. When he filed for bankruptcy in 2003, Mike reputedly owed tax authorities in the US, UK, and the states of Georgia and Michigan close to $18 million. With all the other creditors, his total debt came to around $27 million, a far cry from the hundreds of millions he started with. Mike Tyson isn't the first boxer to earn a fortune and lose it in the space of a few years. He, along with lots of other boxers, have blamed bad managers, crooked promoters, and incompetent financial advisors for their decline. Number 4. Don King. And talking of promoters, Mike Tyson had an ongoing feud with mega promoter Don King for almost a decade. Tyson has always maintained that Don King had stole money from his earnings from his fights at the height of his fame. So much so that after he got out in 1995, he filed a lawsuit against Don King, claiming $100 million in damages. The legal battle raged on for 8 years and was only brought to a head by Tyson's bankruptcy. In a settlement, Don King agreed to pay $14 million to Tyson, but he never saw a penny. All the money went to pay off his creditors as part of his agreement with the Solvency Court. But the bad blood between the two men lives on. At the 2018 induction into the Boxing Hall of Fame, Mike threw a glass of water at Don King after King had tapped him on the shoulder. Some grudges never end. Number 3. Animals. Most of us like to have a pet around the home. A dog or cat is enough to give most of us entertainment on end. But for Mike, having a regular, old, boring, domesticated pet wasn't enough. For him, the pet of choice was the very rare Siberian tiger. And not just one, but a pair of these awesome giant cats. Each one is reputed to have cost him $70,000. But it's not the cost of them that's that expensive, but it was the upkeep. Just keeping them fed cost thousands of dollars a month, as each one of them would eat about 40 pounds of meat a day. Mike also had to have a specially designed enclosure for the tigers built at his home. That way, they could play all day. And of course, he knew that tigers are ferocious and dangerous animals. He hired an animal trainer to look after his tigers and to care for them at the cost of $125,000 a year. Number 2. Iron Mike today. Even after going through all that he's gone through in his life, Mike has never lost one of his best attributes, his self-confidence. He says being sure of oneself can extend to every facet of someone's life, and he's proven that better than most people. Since his bankruptcy, Mike has lived up to his nickname of Iron Mike. After losing $400 million and being in debt for millions, he's shown a steely determination to come back whatever the cost. Boxers like George Foreman have been able to use their clean image to get lucrative advertising contracts, but not so with Mike. He's had to survive and claw back using the skills he showed so powerfully in the boxing ring. In his autobiography, Tyson talks about his flaws and how he's had to own up to them and look at ways of improving himself. Mike's friends have told him to stop thinking about the past and what has passed. Instead, he knows that he has a lot to look forward to for the future. He's taken that to heart, as you can see in the positive attitude Mike shows when talking about his life. Today, he knows he's a much wiser man in a better place in life, even if he has less money. He knows the mistakes he's made and how crazy his life used to be. Number 1. Tyson's earnings now. Now in his 50s, Mike Tyson has rebuilt himself a future. He's become an actor, playing in a dozen or so successful Hollywood movies. Admittedly, he's used to playing himself or a character not very far from his real life. His best-known parts on the big screen are his cameo roles in the Hangover franchise. He's also appeared in a number of television shows, such as the series Entourage. He also has been on a series on Animal Planet about pigeon racing. He's still a businessman today and apparently choosing better partners than he did during his boxing career. His latest money-making venture is a successful greenery farm in Nevada. Watch this next video on billionaires who don't want you to know they're billionaires.